What's up, everybody? Welcome to Marriage and Mass. It is me, your host, Hen, and my lovely, beautiful co host, my one and only wife, Sherelle.
Hey, hey, that's me.
What's up, y'all? Glad to be coming back to you on another Monday. We miss y'all, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Love the energy, love the feedback. The podcast community, y'all, is growing, and it's a beautiful thing.
We are so excited to just meet all of you and really communicate and establish relationships. This is exactly what we wanted when we started this, and we just want to say thank you
Most
for being a
definitely.
part of it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
you make it worth it.
All right. So, talk to us, babe. What's up with the topic today?
So our topic this week is called looking over the balcony.
Mm,
What is that about, right? What is
yeah.
that about? All right. So, really, it's looking over the balcony in a sense of social media. So, as we continue to grow and kind of see ourselves almost through the things that we put out, I find that we also see what we're watching what others are doing. And we have to be like super careful not to like that's a two-way street. Watching what others are doing can be good because you're kind of just like strategically like looking at what's working, looking at like you know, what's not working. You're looking at some of the trends that are going viral. Like it's like a strategic system when you're on like doing social media, especially when you're marketing like a business. So that's a good side of it, but the bad side of it is when you start to compare yourself to what you
Mm,
see other people doing. And I think that we're in that time where it's very crucial to make sure that we're not doing that and making sure we're staying true to what we're supposed to do and what our purpose and mission is.
I agree. That's a good one. That's a good one. Because I think with anything and anybody, you can get lost in the sauce,
Mhm.
getting with like the trends and what's popping and what's new, right? But us staying true to ourselves and being who we are is gonna be beneficial.
I
Like it's
mean,
nothing like you and me.
that's the only way it's going to work too, right? Cuz it's so easy to get caught up in, especially with the like, oh, look at what they have or look how they did it. Or look, it's
Mm,
very easy to get caught up in that. And the interesting thing is you have to be so careful because that 13, 15 seconds of whatever they're showing you is literally like you don't even know if it's real or not, you know?
it's not. It's made up. It's on the internet.
That does, well, it's not that it's not real though, because I believe that what we're putting out is very real and it's very transparent. It's cut down to the 15 seconds of the transparency, but it's still again us being true and honest to who we are, what we're doing, like what our purpose is.
Mm,
Um, that's not always the case. I saw a reel the other day. It was so funny. The guy, I don't know, he was going over to a friend's house and he was like, "Oh, where can I put my bag?" He's like in a closet. He opens the closet, throws his bag in the closet. It's a dude laying on the floor watching TV. He's like, "What are you doing in my room?" He's like, "This is the closet." He's like, "You got half a million followers, and you live in a closet." He's like, "That's how we all live in."
mm.
So I'm like, "Wow,
Going up a facade.
people are deceiving people out here."
Well, when you think about it, right? Social media, the internet, you giving your best perspective of yourself to the
Hmm.
world. Most
Hmm.
people want to do that, right?
Right, right.
Because what's big now? Brands, advertisement. So you want to advertise the best part of you,
Hmm.
which makes sense if you're trying to make money or do things.
Right.
Like I don't think we want to do like the worst parts of us. We
No.
want to present the best parts of us, but at the same time be authentic and genuine to what marriage is and what marriage unmasked is to the people.
Yeah.
Like,
But I feel like for us, we don't even like we so OD. We don't even always present the best parts of ourselves. We like that, and I think that's the accounts that attracted to. Like, I don't necessarily need to see the best parts, but I do want to see the authentic, like transparent, like especially when we're talking about a topic like marriage, because if we're always showing the best parts, then we're not being true to what marriage is.
mm,
Because marriage is not always the best parts. I'm gonna say 50-50. It's 50% of really great parts, and it's 50% of trials and tribulations and challenges and life and don't throw kids in the mix and dealing with,
Mhm.
children and jobs and losses and wins. It's a lot of it's a roller coaster.
Oh yeah. Remember, we were on an interview. We were being interviewed by a radio station, and it was like, "What is marriage to you?" And I was like, "Marriage is ugly, but you can make it the most beautiful thing if you want to." You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? It's all about how you perceive what your marriage is going to be.
Mhm.
Because people can just like take the punches and be like, "Well, I guess I'm supposed to get beat up. I guess I'm supposed to like not be married,"
Yeah.
and will allow that to happen instead of like fighting for what can be something great with two people, which is hard. Nah, I will say it's hard to do. Being on the same mind and being on the same like pathway with someone.
Forever.
Yeah,
Forever. I mean, that's I
that's
mean,
tough.
that's super tough. Like, so just today, in church, well, yeah, in church, our pastor spoke about he and his wife have been married for 45 years.
Wow.
45 years. That's a long time. And so you could just imagine like the trials and tribulations they went through. And I think what attracts us to them is they're honest about those things, right? Like, could you imagine if they were put in those 45 years documented of marriage on the internet?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like,
People document like a month worth of information and got like 2 years of content
can you
off of a month.
imagine 45?
Yeah.
Like, that's so crazy. And can you, just the things that they've been through and been able to overcome. And one of the things that he mentioned was you don't get to 45 years without forgiveness.
Mm.
Like, can you imagine how many times just in our short, in comparison, 8 years, right? How many times have we had to forgive each other for something? It's almost daily.
Yeah, it is.
It's almost daily, like for something, there's something that,
Okay,
no, because
Shira.
it's like we're constantly traveling through life together and things are constantly coming at us. We're constantly reacting to situations, which is not the best, but we're learning, right? And every reaction ain't always great.
Mm.
And we gotta be like, my bad. you know,
Yeah.
and then the other person has to forgive them.
Yeah. I also think that with forgiveness, I'm learning who you are. Like I'm learning the new you and I'm learning the new me the next day of our
Hmm.
lives, right?
Hmm.
Because every day we're different people.
Yeah.
And every event that happens in our life, whether it be good, positive, or like traumatic, it accounts to our character and it changes us in some way, shape, or form. And so it's like understanding how you're changing and how to look at it as in the positive as opposed to the negative. Like
Hmm.
I can't get mad at you for something that happened, personally and hold you accountable. Like, dang, why you change, Sherelle? Why you can't just be the Sherelle I knew?
Hmm.
That'll never happen. Like that's not growth
Right.
for you or for me.
But even like you're right, and it's interesting, but I feel like there's a good part of that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's the lessons, I think, and the learning about each other that makes it all kind of exciting, right? Because, like, think about when we were out to lunch the other day with my parents, and you were like,
Brunch, by the way,
oh, brunch.
breakfast and lunch. I'm joking.
You were like, I didn't know that your father called you that name.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a little nickname.
Yeah, and I was like, "What?" He calls me that all the time. I'm like, "You've had to have heard it before. He says it every time he sees me." And and you were like, "No, I never heard it." And it's like it's interesting that you never heard it because I think it just comes out of his mouth so naturally and I respond to it and it's probably like you probably just didn't even hear it because you weren't looking for it. But particularly that day you finally heard it and it's like, "Wow, I learned a new thing about you."
I think I heard it, but I saw it on the card, and I was just like, "What is that?" Those
Mhm.
those initials, and he said it. And I was like, Okay.
And
New information.
yeah, but it's like how much new information do we get about each other? So marriage is complicated.
Wait. I want to stay right there. How much new information do we get about each other or like learn about each other?
Yeah,
Like every day is something new.
every day.
And then I got go ahead. That was just deep to me.
Yeah,
That was real powerful.
this is because marriage is complicated. So in our particular ministry of marriage and what we're doing with Marriage Unmastered, when we bring that to social media, it is so important that we remain authentic and we
Mm-hmm.
don't judge ourselves against what anyone else is doing because we want to make sure that we're putting out the right message.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because you don't know how much like prayer and focus and like dissecting of what is put out. And I say that because what we put out, it represents not only us, but it represents God too, right? Because He gave us this ministry of marriage and marriage and helping couples to come together and to stay together and to build upon the foundation of love, right? And so the things that we go through, like some of that stuff be like real, real traumatic events. And it's like, all right, this was meant for these 20, 30 minutes right here on this episode to help somebody. So let's put on our big boy drawers and, do what we got to do and like discuss it. And I think that's a hard thing to do in marriage is discuss the traumatic events and break it down and then accept the wrongs and the rights and then say, and then make a commitment to say, we're going to move forward and we're going to grow from this
Mm-hmm.
together.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard. That takes patience and forgiveness, like you said.
It does. And I'm gonna be real transparent about something right now, but you could pull me back in if I go a little too
I will.
far.
I will. I will.
So you probably have already at least heard us mention Henry and I for the last 5 years have had a traumatic house buying experience. And we have had it has been a challenge to our marriage um, because of how traumatic it has been. And now we actually had to take a break because it was just it had become
Hmm.
too much. And we needed to kind of find our center again and then start looking. So in this new season of looking again, um, this is a different type of experience that we've ever had, and I'm trying. I don't know how to not say what it is, so I'm
The,
just gonna have to.
the Lord is just presenting new opportunities and new things for us and expanding our territory.
Yes. However, for me, it has been a challenge on many different levels. So,
Mm.
for instance, one of the things that I've always wanted for us was when we moved into our home, I wanted that to be our forever home. I didn't want to have to move into like a starter home or a like midway home or whatever. Like I wanted whatever house we buy, that was it. And then we could buy other houses for like other things, but this particular house, I want our kids to grow up in it. Like that was what I always wanted. So because of that, I had all these ideas in my head of what that looked like. And and speaking about social media, so when I would be on social media, I would see other people's homes and
Mm.
I'd be like, "Oh, that," and that desire of what I want kind of being reflected through what I see in other people's journeys. And now that we're back into this house buying phase, I find myself sometimes comparing
Mm.
like, oh, is the house we're gonna buy gonna have this or did it have that? And I had to catch myself like, girl, that ain't that ain't God. Like that's not what God has for you, God has for you. Like, and you need to be thankful for that. And you need to be thankful for the opportunity of even being able to buy a house because we've been in such a up and down situation for the last 5 years. The fact that where we are now is different,
Mm.
like getting caught up in what I see other people getting, like I had to really catch myself and ask God, like, please forgive me for that because one, we don't know the plans that God has. What we do know is that they're always better
Yeah.
than what we thought for ourselves, right?
And let me know when you finish. I got something
You could
crazy.
that. You could that.
Now that's dope because as you were talking about like what you saw and look, and the topic is what like looking over the balcony,
Looking
right?
over the balcony.
It brought me to a specific story in the Bible where
Mm.
Jesus, when he had prayed for like 40 days and 40 nights, and the Bible says that he was tempted of the devil, and the devil was tempting him, like bringing him up into like a high mountain and saying, like, all of this, what I give you, if you just bow down and just
Mm.
worship me, or, take yourself off the cross, just in really retrospect saying, like, look at what I can give you. Like, even though your father owns everything as the creator, but I'm going to show you something. And vision is crazy. Like what you see in perspective, it's crazy how things can change. You can say the same. And so, like you said, you had to ask for forgiveness from God because of what you were seeing, and like saying, why can I have that, or why can I be in that position, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just that scripture just really brought out like the enemy's going to always tempt us
Mm-hmm.
and show us something that we may want or desire, but it's like that's not what God has for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so staying focused on what God has for us, even though we don't see it yet.
Not even that though, right? So, like, let me take it a little step further.
Go ahead.
Not even staying focused on what God has for us, but what God has already done for us.
Mm.
So, I think like the want will confuse the have. Like, I want this, but you're not even thinking about what you already have. Like, so, you know, it's I was I had to really like draw back. Like, wow, the blessings that we already have are so overwhelming that the fact that I could even say like, oh yes, thanks God, but I want that too is very selfish and immature, and like is something you have to be able to recognize though, because it's in your flesh, right? It's like, of course you're gonna want what you see other people putting out, but we don't know their journey to get there.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know,
Everybody,
we don't know what their desires are. Maybe that wasn't even their desire. They got that, and it's like they still want something else, like
or even what they lost to gain.
or what they lost to gain
You
it.
know what I'm saying?
And I will be 100% the person who always will say to the Lord, I want that, but not in like
Not
not in
depend.
exchange for. Like I will tell God, yeah, God, I want that, but not in exchange for. And there's very specific things that I always say, like not in exchange for. And I'm not gonna say what those things are, but I think that you understand there's things that I'm not willing to sacrifice for that bigger house. There's things that I'm not willing to sacrifice for
Mm.
a nice car. There's certain, and I've always been that way. And I always say maybe, and I joke with Henry like, I wish I was one of those girls that was willing to sacrifice for those. I'll joke, but it's just never been who I am. And I'm not saying anything negative against people who are, because we're all willing, we all make sacrifices.
Mhm.
It's just depending on what your level is. But anyways, so that is something that I have been dealing with and had to kind of check myself, like, you know, just be grateful. Don't, and the scripture says, and I don't know it by heart like Henry does, but don't be envious and don't look at other people's things and want them like in a negative way. Like you know what I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
no, that's actually one of the commandments. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's like wife, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's possessions.
Right.
In a sense, yeah, like don't be covetous. Don't want and earnestly desire what someone else has, because
Yeah.
it can turn into more things, being jealous and envious, and
Right.
all of those negative words that come with it. You know what I'm saying?
And we don't want to do that, be that, portray that. Like also like, so here's another like interesting thing about the whole looking over into somebody's balcony, right? So I always say I want a nice big house, right? I want specific things in this house. But then I always say like I don't want it too big.
Or you can't clean.
I don't want a house that I can't clean on my own. Or it's going to take days and days to clean. Like I don't want that. So it's like I know God just laughs at us. Like you don't even know what you want. You don't even know what you need. So I'm gonna give you what I know you need.
Mm.
Like because I will be like, oh Henry, we need this many bedrooms and we need this extra room and we need that. Well, guess what, girl? You're gonna have to clean that. You want 4 bathrooms, you're gonna have to clean all them toilets. Like so I will always be like, I don't want a house that I can't clean on my own in one day. I don't want to have to spend days and days cleaning half the house. I also don't want a house where I don't know where my kids are. I need to
Mm.
know where they are, what they doing. They don't need to be in some back room somewhere and I don't know what they're doing. Like I need to our space needs to be big enough for me to know regulate what's happening in our home. So it's like I say all those things and then I say like, oh, this house ain't big enough. It's just ridiculous. It really is. And so we have to be conscious of that. We have to be really conscious of that, especially in this new era of social media where people
Oh
are
yeah.
just putting things out there and people are watching. And then the flip side of it for us is as we go into this new season where we're getting a bigger audience, like we have to be careful of how and what we share and how we share it.
Hmm. Like, I'm not in the business of changing what we share, but maybe adjusting to how.
Mm,
Um, I don't ever want to change for people when it's not like authentic. I want to change because if God says change,
yeah.
you see what I'm saying?
And I'm not
Um,
saying change though. I'm more
no, just
saying
like
like
the way it's put out.
just no, just like beware that people are watching. So,
Oh,
cuz like so when we took the trip last weekend to North Carolina, we did like a surprise live and we had mentioned some things on the live. And we were even careful about what we were saying on the live, but when we got back, somebody came up to Henry like, "Oh, I heard,"
yada yada yada.
and we're like, "We
And
didn't
I
even say
and I
that."
already knew it. I was like, "What you talking about, Willis?"
Yeah,
I be knowing. I just play like, really? But you sure?
but it was like we didn't even say that, but it's like that was their interpretation,
That was the narrative.
that was what it was. So it's like we have to also remember people are also watching us now,
Mm-hmm.
so we have to.
So check this out. Not only watching us, right? When you become married, you become one with your husband or with your wife. People then watch your marriage,
Hmm,
and you never have to say anything to them, but your story and how you move and how you act. That's they read those chapters, right? So whether the chapters was good or you thought it was gonna be good and it was terrible, or it was terrible and it was like juicy, you never know how that's gonna play out to people
hmm,
and how they perceive it.
right.
Like you can't control that narrative. People gonna think what they want to think, regardless. So just be mindful of that. Like when you do something, just be true to yourself and do it in your marriage because it really doesn't matter what other people say. It's about what you and your spouse feel.
It doesn't matter what they say, but you also still have to be careful of what you put out there, especially when we're promoting healthy, happy marriages. Like, so we don't.
Oh yeah, I was talking like in just marriage, like in general.
Mhm.
Like,
Always be a representation of that marriage. I think
got you,
that's,
got you.
like we want to always make sure that we're representing each other in the best possible light
Mm-hmm.
in every moment, right? Because every moment ain't the best possible light, but when we go out, we still need to put
Facts.
that face forward. What
Facts.
was so we did an episode once and it was like when you go to your parents' house after y'all got into an argument, you gotta be like fake. Pretty much fake, like, hey, even though y'all
Yeah.
not talking.
Oh yeah, that's happened a couple times. Been out in public events at the whole argument.
Whole argument. Don't even want to touch. Don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't touch me. But now we gotta put it on for
People looking like, yeah, okay, yeah, we good, we good, we
yeah,
good,
we
we
good, we
straight.
good, we good. Y'all not sitting next to each other. Oh no, you good, you good, you good. You want something to eat?
Give me a plate.
Give me okay.
You want something to drink?
Oh, the food on the plate. Here you go.
Yeah, that stuff is real.
That stuff is real. And so like, but even that, just don't look over somebody's balcony. They look like they good, but they not.
Mm-hmm.
They you don't know they was just in the car hard down arguing.
Yeah, that grass may be green on the other side, but It had to rain a whole lot for that
Mm,
grass to turn green.
it had to
That's
rain
a
a
message. Write that down.
It had to rain a whole lot. So just be so the moral of this whole story is be careful of what you're letting seep into your space, into your mind. Don't let it run off into a tangent of envy and jealousy and all. Like it's just be thankful for what you have, and build on that. Build on that. So, always trying to be transparent, coming from a place of experience, something that we're actually going through right now. And just pray for us because we have a lot happening. You see, you know how transparent we are. You see, we still kind of being real, like
Just hold them
a
back.
little, we holding back a little bit, but just know it's coming. It's coming. We're going to be able to give this full testimony soon. It's just right now, it's just too sensitive. But just wait on it. It's coming. It's coming. This testimony is it's a mind blower. It's a mind blower. So look forward to it. Y'all know this has been a journey. A journey.
So listen, we thank y'all for listening to us,
Hmm.
taking time out of your busy schedule to check
Right.
out what God has given to us for you.
For you. Yes, yes, yes. So you know how to catch us. Make sure y'all log on to Instagram on Fridays at 11:09 for a deeper conversation into these topics
Mm.
when we have live Friday and we get to talk to you and get your live feedback and that's our fun space where we get to communicate. So yes, make sure y'all check us out. Send us a DM, comment, email. We like to hear from you. All right.
All righty.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening to another episode of Marriage Unmastered. We will talk to you next week. Bye.
Peace.